and gentlemen, we have a saint in the house. She's a 16th century Spanish Carmelite who became the church's doctor of prayer. Her mystic teachings on the interior life, which renewed her own monastic community, became the heart of restoration and reform in the post-Reformation era. Please stand and welcome Saint Teresa of Avila.
My dear people, let nothing disturb you. Nothing affright you. All things are passing. God never changes. Patient endurance attains to all things. Who God possesses, in nothing is wanting. Alone, God suffices.
Saint Teresa, what a great privilege it is for us to have you with us today.
Thank you. Good to be here, Richard.
I have to say that I was really surprised by your appearance when I saw you for the first time a few minutes ago.
What surprised you?
Well, I expected you to look serious, maybe even sad. Perhaps from the pictures and statues I've seen of you. I don't know.
Over the years, I learned to pray. God deliver me from sullen saints. For we learn joy from sorrow, the good news of life from being humbled by the bad.
But you've got to admit, Mother, that the folks out there in the world today do have the impression that it's not much fun being a saint.
Humanly speaking, we call the weather either good or bad, yet there's no such thing as bad weather. All weather is good because it's God's. Hell is the result of our free will choice. We can freely exclude God from the weather, and we can freely exclude ourselves from communion with God's love forever. That's hell. Remember, Jesus didn't come until Mary made her fiat, her free will choice.
Historically, perhaps one of the most common classical Christian icons was that of the Madonna and Child, Mary and Jesus. Why?
In our tradition, it is not a man, but a woman, Mary, who is the perfect human person. Mary is the mother of human freedom. She was asked by God and freely accepted the privilege of conceiving and giving birth to Jesus, a divine person. Mary taught us two rules leading to happiness and holiness. One is, I am the handmaiden of the Lord. Be it done to me according to thy word. This indicates that the woman's mission is to let herself be filled by grace, holy receptivity. The second is, do whatever he tells you. This is the holy program that the Church offers us. No doubt, if women understood this message, marriage, the family, and the Church would begin to overcome the terrible crisis affecting us. As the liturgy says, God has put salvation in the hands of a woman.
Thank you for being with us. And in the 1960s, the decline of Mary as the model of femininity led us to become vulnerable to the twin forces of the feminist movement and the sexual revolution, which radically undermined our society. Would you care to comment?
Every woman, by her very nature, is maternal. Whether married or unmarried, she is called upon to be either a biological, psychological, or spiritual mother. She knows intuitively what to give, to nurture, to care for others, to suffer with and for them. For maternity implies a sacrificial love. It is infinitely more valuable in God's sight than to conquer nations or fly to the moon. Women are the key to our culture because they are the guardians of purity. This is already clearly evident in the structure of their bodies, which chastely hides their intimate organs. Because their organs are veiled, indicating their mystery and sacredness, women have the immense privilege of sharing the same sex of the Blessed One, Mary, the most holy of all creatures.
C.S. Lewis claimed that the doors of hell are locked from the inside rather than outside, and that God leaves no stone unturned to rescue us from such a fate. Didn't God give you a vision of hell?
Yes, but not before I had abandoned myself to him, and after he had convinced me that all my conversations must be with heaven, and after I had learned to distrust myself.
So how was your life affected by these visions of hell?
Experiencing hell taught me that all the pain we must suffer in this world is nothing compared to the pain and suffering of hell. Ever since that time, everything seems endurable compared to one instant of suffering in hell.
So was it fear that motivated you most from that point on?
And not really. Though I remain terrified by the vision and the terror that I experienced, I didn't dwell often on hell's torments. Why? Though it showed me my destination if I was unfaithful to grace, it made me determined to seek a more perfect life. For I soon discovered that my soul could make no positive progress through fear.
Isn't that why our late Holy Father, John Paul II, cautioned us so many times to be not afraid?
Yes. We don't need wings of fear to go in search of God. Rather, we have only to look upon his loving presence within us.
St. Teresa, I believe that we can sum up the tragedy of this world in one word, and that would be sin. Can you please comment?
Sin has attacked your hierarchy of values. Man wants to be God. Man's body revolts against his soul, and the soul capitulates and rejects the primacy of the spirit. Thus, Bodily feelings dominate the mind, and both dominate the spirit. Morality becomes topsy-turvy, confused, and relativistic. The natural law of God is rejected. Unnatural relationships become fashionable and claim the same rights as natural relationships. Divine revelation and law are rejected. Our civilization declines and falls.
Love is the most used and misused word today. But how do we love God and love our neighbor?
It's love alone that gives worth to all things. But we must go to the source of all true love, to God, who is love. As St. Paul said, it's not our love for God. It's God's love for us. We don't have to go anywhere or be anyone else to find love. It's right here, right under our noses, right now. It's not hidden away in dark corners.
You know, what you're saying sheds light on why Jesus spent 30 years in Nazareth, living the simple, hidden life, and only those 3 years in the public life.
Yes, in his hidden life of Nazareth, he gave witness to the home as the school of love, to the place where we meet God in our most ordinary and familiar experience.
Yeah, as they say, home is where the heart is.
Yes, for the kingdom of God is within the soul or heart, within the core of our being. I'm speaking of what few people speak of today. I'm speaking of the interior life of contemplation, where we live in God's presence, where we live in conversation with him. It is a journey within our personal house, a journey that takes us through the different rooms of our soul. In them we discover the different forms of God's will. In them, one by one, we are conformed to and formed by the God who is love and truth.
How do we enter more deeply into Christ's real presence? You call this practice recollection. Why this word? What does it really mean?
It means that the soul collects its faculties together and enters within itself to be with its God, to look at him, to be present to him, who is present to us and seeing us, to center its attention on him.
It sounds to me that you don't emphasize vocal prayer as much as mental prayer. Is that true?
No, I cannot imagine a prayer of recollection not being accompanied by vocal prayer, especially by the Our Father. My book, The Way of Perfection, deals with this. These two forms of prayer are inseparable. They both fix our attention in a loving way on Jesus, in whom the mystery of our Lord is revealed to us. But you must remember that these forms of prayer are preparations for mystical prayer, for the prayer of quiet, for infused prayer.
Can you speak of such prayer?
I was directed to write the book you know as Interior Castle in order to explain how to live such a life of prayer. On the eve of Trinity Sunday, the Lord gave me a vision that enabled me to do so. In it, I saw the 7 inner dwelling places of a castle
made entirely out of a diamond or clear crystal, in which there are many rooms, just as in heaven there are many dwelling places. This is the interior life. The first 3 dwellings are achievable humanly with the ordinary help of grace. The remaining 4 dwellings deal with the mystical elements of spiritual life. In the 7th room in the center dwelt the King of Glory in the greatest splendor. From there, the God who created us in his image and likeness beatified and illumined all the other rooms. Those within, the closer they were to the center, the more light they received. Outside, all was in darkness. The castle's gate of entry is prayer. At the castle's center is the grace of a spiritual marriage, a perfect union with our Lord Jesus in his sacred humanity.
Can you speak of that place and of your relationship with him there?
It's like being a caterpillar who enters the cocoon and there dies willingly with the greatest joy because of its new life as a butterfly. It is to become one spirit with Christ.
So was it this that enabled you to do such great things?
There we recognize that the Lord doesn't look so much at the greatness of our works, but at the love with which they are done.
Saint Teresa, as the first woman doctor of the Church, you're seen as sort of an icon for Christian feminists. You're seen as someone who's triumphed in society too. Why is that?
Well, first let me say that tradition used to celebrate icons as sacred windows into heaven. Today, the word is used to describe secular windows into worldly power and fame. It seems to me that in this current poisoned secular use, the word refers more often to a window into hell than heaven. Today, women are victimized by the same mistaken change of outlook. Regrettably, in your modern secular age, when you pride yourselves on respecting diversity, women are seen as the same as men. Under the guise of equality, the icon of man and woman are changed, despite nature's reality and God's directives, into the one and the same thing. Thus, they are victimized by this unnatural belief into accepting that success in the world means power, money, celebrity, creativity, etc. Regretfully, men sacrifice their families for these things, often treating their wives like appendages rather than persons to love and serve, and thus ruining their marriages. Now, women are being encouraged to make the same mistake.
What do you see as the major effect of secular feminism?
Women sought to become like men in all things. They sold their gender birthright. They became blind to the fact that men and women, though equal in dignity as human beings, were made different and complementary by God's choice. Male and female, he made them. In God's admirable plan, marriage is an indissoluble union of opposites. It is God's grace for the transcending the imperial self, for each overcoming their weaknesses, for learning unselfish love, and especially as parents, to discover an even deeper sacrificial love by having and serving their children.
Thank you.
And Mother, where does such thinking lead?
To a loss of a sense of supernatural, and thus a rejection of God's divine revelation. To a rejection of God's moral and spiritual laws, order, and means of sanctification. We are led away from being guided by the good news of life's abundance and true happiness. From a culture of life to a culture of death. And this secular and thus materialistic life erodes and destroys our Western culture, for it denies the Church's three most basic social teachings. First, this secular and materialistic culture rejects the Church's teaching that human life is created by God in his image and likeness, thus denying the source of its sacred dignity, reverence, and worth. The result is a culture drowning in contraception, abortion, cloning, euthanasia, etc. Second, the secular and materialistic culture rejects the human family's redemptive solidarity as members of Christ's mystical body, a unity of complementarity and true diversity, as hand to leg, eye to ear. Thus, our world falls not into order, but into disorder of divisiveness, polarization, violence, and war. Third, by this secular and materialistic culture's rejection of the Church's principle of subsidiarity, a principle that gives primacy to the family, empowers grassroots communities, and gives primary authority to local governance. Thus, as a result of this culture's denial of these most basic social principles, you are witnessing the disintegration into a world of broken homes, failed schools, and antisocial neighborhoods. Thus, you are increasingly susceptible to falling under the heel of opportunistic and totalitarian evils, cruel, bureaucratic, ideological, impersonal governments. In closing, I want to offer this advice. If we were to approach the most blessed sacrament with great faith and love, once would be enough to make us rich. How much richer from approaching so many times as we do. The trouble is, we do so out of routine, and it shows. Goodbye, my friends, and may God bless you always.